So, I think me overcoming, I mean, when I talk about overcoming my injuries, there's the physical part. And I've often said that the physical injuries, they heal way more quicker than the emotional or the spiritual, the soul injuries, the mental injuries.
Yes.
And so they're on a sort of incongruent sort of a track. And I will tell you, as a male, I probably first focus on my physical injuries. I think what really came next was sort of my spiritual, believe it or not.
Wow.
But my mental injuries were the ones that, again, I had never, I never had to rely on somebody to sort of validate me. In other words, going and talking to a mental health professional.
Yeah.
And my wife, Kim, she actually explained it the best way. And in fact, when she said we need to get some help, was that she says she would use this, and she's used this before publicly.
Yep.
But you've moved in your life, right? You've had movers move you from one place to the next.
Yep.
And she uses that analogy. She says, well, you get a professional to help you move from a place that you need to move to. And I said,
good.
And that's how she used to talk about a mental health professional helping you move mentally from a place that you don't want to be to a place that you need to be.
So good.
And that is what nailed it for me. It's what sold it to me.
Excellent.
But also the realization that, David, we don't do anything in this life by ourselves.
There it is.
Again, I tell men all the time, because it takes no strength not to get help. It takes no strength to not ask for help. So it takes strength to ask for help. It takes strength to say, I need some help.
So and that's power.
Right.
That's exuding power.
And so when I tie that to where we are in society, I still say, look, there's no excuse. Look, we got to get the job done. Now, if you need some help, get the help you need.
There we go.
But don't sit here and say, I can't do it, and you don't get any help. Now, I got no toleration for that.
That's excellent.
At the end of the day, things still got to get done. You got to perform. You got to get your job done. And, what you were born with or what you don't have, at the end of the day, is irrelevant.
Yes.
The world ain't going to stop.
Yes.
So, that's what you need to face, and that's what we need to face and say, okay, let's keep it real.
Yep.
But how are we going to get to succeed?
How are we going to get
there? Ain't
there?
no excuses.
Yeah. I love you actually sharing that. It actually reminded me of, my decline, and I haven't talked about it a lot. My decline, I had an injury right after the Super Bowl, and I come back and I start having soft tissue injuries, which I never had ever in my athletic career. And so Giants cut me, and I'm over with the Ravens, first day of practice, and first day with the Ravens, I strained my hamstring again. So we had a bye week, so I had some time to kind of recover, but it sucked. And I duked it out with God in the hotel room. I'm like, really? I had one of these real moments, but it made me think of it. And when I got back, I was probably somewhere around between 80, 85%. And the Giants and the Ravens had different philosophies. I'm sitting over there, it's Ed Reed, it's Ray Lewis, it's Todd Heap, and Ed Reed is literally probably my favorite players of all time. And I can't wait to get to war with these dudes. But the trainer, he's like, how you feeling? It's like, He said, well, listen, man, we're gonna have to put a little ace wrap around this thing, because you got to go. Now, the Giants never told me that. They just would rest me up. And what I realized, you can still...
Yeah, when you tape your hamstring, you can
still get to work, right? And I think part of that is with the building mental resiliency. Although you're impaired, you can still flex those muscles.
That's right.
And so, it's like, no, you're not going to get the perfect optimization. We're not going to get you back to 100 before you can start blowing, because that's what would happen. I get rested, I come back, and I tweak something again.
And you were haggling over 2% of your performance, right?
Man, it was
and
terrible.
people say, I hear athletes all the time. I like to listen. I can't wait to get back to my form. I said, look, you never get back. You're already using the wrong word.
Yeah.
Because you're chasing something that you may never
That you
get,
might not
and you'll never know whether your 99% is good enough because you're chasing 1%.
There you go.